Well, what's up, guys? Got Dave here, and I just wanted to talk about the difference between being self-taught versus taking a class to learn how to do something. And there are a lot of people out there who ride motorcycles around that are self-taught, and you know, they just bought a motorcycle. Like how it works in California is like you go to the DMV and you take a 50-question test, multiple choice test, and I think you got to get like 40 out of 50 of those right, and you get a 6-month learner permit, and at that point you go down to the dealership and you buy a bike that day. And then you have 6 months to ride around on that bike and get experience and get proficient at riding that bike. And then at the end of that 6 months, right when the right before the permit expires, you go down to the DMV and you take the riding test, and then you get your license. And I don't know, it's there's a lot of bad habits that you could develop in those 6 months of riding without any instruction at all, you know, like just starting off by yourself. And I kind of wanted to talk about the difference between, you know, like self-taught versus experience, because either way, honestly, in my opinion, you're pretty much self-taught. You know what I mean? Like if you take a class and then you get out of that class and you go, I know how to ride a motorcycle, it's like, nah, that's not at all, dude. It's like you have been started off the right way. You have been told things like, when you come to a stop, use your right foot and your right hand, and then get it down into first gear while you're still moving, and then stop with the left leg on the ground. You know, like things like that that I've talked about before. That's the type of things that I was taught in my MSF class. But that's all they do, is they give you tips, they give you pointers, and they make you do the little riding course and stuff. So it's like you're halfway proficient at riding a bike, but you're only halfway proficient at riding the little Kawasaki Eliminator 125 that I was on in the class. The bike that I first got and started riding around, like whatever, 6 months after I graduated that class, was a completely different bike with way more power and way higher standover height and a whole bunch of things different. I think that whether you take a class or not, everybody ends up being self-taught, you know, because it's like 5 years, 10 years after you take a class, and you've been doing whatever it is like that whole time, you've been improving your skills, and you've been, you know, just kind of like critiquing your performance. You know, hopefully if it's something that you're into, you know, like riding or shooting or something, that even after you take a class initially and learn how to do whatever it is, you're improving your skills, and you're critiquing yourself, and you're thinking about what you need to do to get to that next level. You know, like, what do I need to do to improve to where I want to be? And that goes for a lot of things. You know, there's more than one thing that I learned in a class. You know, it's like when I first started riding, I went and I took an MSF class. You guys all know that. But it's like, my dad never had guns. Like when I grew up, you know, like growing up, like my mom and dad, they really, like, they were not into guns, and I was never allowed to have a BB gun or anything like that as a kid. So when I got older and I got my own place and I wanted to buy a gun, like for home defense, the first thing I did before I ever bought a gun is I went and I took it was like a 50-50 safety and target shooting class. It was like gun safety and target shooting, and it was an awesome class. And the instructor was like some Olympic target shooting guy that was like super good, and like he was funny, and it was a cool class, you know. And I learned a lot, and because of what I learned in that class, I've developed a very good style, and I've become very accurate with my shooting. And not like I'm crazy gun nut or anything like that, you know, like I have a shotgun and I go and I shoot clays, you know, every once in a while I'll go shoot clay pigeons. Pull! 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 Dude, I am rusty, man. The first few I got good. Let's go to the next one. that was better. That was like 4 pieces. Oh! But like the things that I learned in that class, they started me off the right way. But even though even that being said, like you know, they taught me the right things, it's like up to me to keep on like with those things, you know. Like if I start doing something stupid and develop a bad habit, that's on me, you know what I mean? But it's a lot more likely if you don't start out in a class. But no matter what, you're not going to come out of a class and be like, okay, now I'm good, you know, like now I'm, you know, like come out of an MSF class and be like, okay, now like I know all there is to know about riding, I'm good. And it's like, no, dude, it's like you've never really spent like a minute riding in the rain, or riding at night, or riding on the freeway, or riding with a passenger, or like any of the many challenging things that there are involving motorcycles. Yeah, but I think no matter what, you know, whether you take a class or not, every one of us is self-taught. But I think that starting off in a class is very beneficial. Yeah, it's definitely a good way to go. So that's what I had to say about that. You guys have a great day, and I will talk to you next time. Peace.